Welcome Kumas to the World of Warcraft guide. You're here with Kuma. This time we're going to be covering alchemy, one of the primary crafting professions of World of Warcraft. I will be covering the basics of alchemy, how to maximize your gold with alchemy, as well as my own tips and recommendations on how to get the most out of alchemy. Now the first tip that I will highly stress, that has been brought up in the comment section in previous videos, is that you should always check your AH before crafting any items. You may find with alchemy, as well as many other professions, that the raw materials may be worth a lot more than the crafted item. In which case, I would highly recommend that you sell the raw materials rather than crafting the item and then trying to make a profit from that. So please check your AH before you start crafting items, because what works on my server may not necessarily work on your server. Many factors come into play, such as how many players there are on the server, what the people are doing on the server, as well as what the market on the server is. My server is Frostmourne on the US Oceanic Realms, which means we have a lot of PvPers and a lot of raiders, which may or may not impact the value of flasks and herbalism because a lot of people are raiding. You may be on a realm that does not have a lot of raiders, which means there might be a lot lower demand of alchemists on the AH market, or you may have guilds that already have their alchemists, so they're not actually buying the flasks themselves, they're being provided by their guild or whatever. All these things come into play, so please check your AH before you start crafting items and then start crying to me that you didn't make a profit from it. So please check your AH. I will be providing timestamps, which are links to different portions of the video, so you can go to the section of the video that does apply to you, but I do highly recommend that you watch the entire video, because I will be providing tips throughout the video and you may learn something that you may have not already known. This video covers the very basics all the way to advanced alchemy, which means that anyone that watches the video will hopefully learn something. If you don't learn anything from this video, then I'm sort of questioning why you're even watching these videos. By the way, I did hit 5 million gold while filming this video, as well as my engineering video, which is coming soon, shortly after this one. So yeah, if you're interested in seeing how much gold I have at any time, feel free to follow me on Twitter at @TheNinjaKuma. That's where I post screenshots from my gameplay time to time, and you can see my gold total. This is an alt, so it doesn't really have all my gold, so please stop getting mad at me that not all my alts have 5 million gold. Also, feel free to ask any questions in the comment section below. I do try to answer as many comments as I can, but if you do see that someone has already asked the question that you wanted to ask and it's already been answered, be sure to give that particular comment a like so it does bump up in the comment sections, because people might be looking for the information that you just found in the comment section. So it would be really helpful for them if you do like that particular comment, it does get bumped up so they can find this information nice and quick. It's all about helping each other out. So feel free to ask questions and be sure to leave a like for answers and questions that you did find useful. Also, I would highly appreciate it if you do leave a like for this video if you do enjoy it, because it does help me and it also helps the YouTube algorithm know what type of videos you like, so they will give you more sort of WoW centered videos. If you don't like this video, be sure to hit me up in the comment section as to why you don't like it, rather than just sitting there and saying it's the stupidest video on the internet without actually telling me why, because I do take on board feedback and try to improve my videos. As you see, I am trying to take the word actually and like out of my vocabulary, but it is not that easy. I will be putting out World of Warcraft guides every Tuesday. They do sometimes come late because it is very difficult for me to upload, because I am in Australia and we don't have fiber optic yet, but I did get a letter from my ISP telling me the fiber optic is coming to my area very soon, which means I will hopefully be able to live stream soon. And when that does happen, I might be doing a few giveaways with mounts and tokens and things like that, so we'll work that out. But yeah, expect WoW videos every single Tuesday, and if they do run late, I am sorry in advance, but the internet is kind of shitty where I am at the moment, so can't really do anything. Okay, let's get started. Alchemy has changed a fair bit in World of Warcraft Legion, and there are a few things that you should be mindful of. The first is that the Potion Master and Transmutation Master specializations you may have gotten a few expansions ago no longer apply in Legion Alchemy. That being said, they do still work for crafting old flasks and doing old transmutes, but they will not affect any of the new things that you learn in WoW Legion. Instead, crafting now relies on the proficiency very similar to the gathering of professions, where you will be leveling up your crafting skill level of a particular item. This reduces the materials that you use in order to craft it, as well as providing you other bonuses. Rank 1 will only let you craft the item or flask at the alchemy station in the Dalaran alchemy building, meaning you will be spending a lot of time there, but once you unlock rank 2, you can craft these particular flasks or transmutes anywhere, so you don't need to worry about that. Luckily for you, it's located in the same location that it was last time in the Mangus Commerce Exchange, right next to the Jewel Crafting building. If you get lost, just ask a guard. In most cases, rank 2 can be unlocked through quests or is dropped from heroic dungeon bosses as well as mythic dungeon bosses. For example, Flask of 10,000 Scars is obtained by killing Odin in heroic or mythic Halls of Valor. Flask of a Countless Armies is obtained by killing Helia in the heroic or mythic Maw of Souls. Flask of the Seventh Demon is obtained by killing Hordana Felsong in the Vault of the Wardens in heroic or mythic. And then you've got the Flask of the Whispering Pact, which is obtained by killing Latosius from the Black Rookhold in heroic or mythic. Once you obtain rank 2, you will be able to craft these flasks and potions wherever you like in traditional alchemy, and in doing so, you will have a chance to spawn the rank 3 pattern in your bags. This will spawn in your bags and will not automatically be learned. So while you're crafting potions and flasks that you have rank 2 for, be mindful of your bags because it can spawn at any time and it will not activate until you learn it by right-clicking. Once you learn rank 3, you will have a chance to proc an additional potion or flask while crafting. This is the exact same as the Potion Master or Transmutation Master specializations we had previously in the previous expansions that no longer work in Legion Alchemy. Now, they've done this so that you can obtain the benefits of both the specializations in one profession without needing a different alt in order to have both like I had. I originally had 2 alchemists, one that's a Transmutation Master and another one that's a Potion Master. That way, if I needed to craft flasks or potions, I could proc additional ones, and if I needed to transmute, I could proc additional ones. Now, I can actually have both, so I don't need to do this anymore. It's a pain in the ass, I know. It is going to require grinding some dungeons, which is why I believe you should do this as quick as possible, so hopefully you can get the grinding out of the way while you're leveling. Now, you do need to have Alchemy and rank 1 in order to drop the rank 2 pattern, so if you haven't yet picked up Alchemy and you're going through these dungeons, I'm sorry, but you will not be able to pick up these rank 2 patterns. So if you're planning on getting Alchemy, you should get it before you go to the dungeons. Otherwise, it's simply not going to drop for you. Now, Legion Alchemy still has transmutes, however, WoW Transmutation is the only one that has ranks. Rank 1 will only allow you to transmute near the Alchemy Station, rank 2 will allow you to transmute anywhere, and rank 3 will occasionally proc additional materials from the transmute. All the other Legion transmutes do not proc additional transmutes because they cannot be ranked up. Now, this transmutation has a chance to unlock other transmutes. So the more you do it, the more chances you have of unlocking the other ones, which do not have any ranks, meaning you won't require the Dalaran Alchemy Station, but you can't actually proc any additional materials either. So it's convenient, but you don't get any bonuses. It will also create Transmutagens, which can be used to transmute into Blood of Sargeras. If I had to pick one of these transmutes to be my favorite, it would be the transmute skins to ore. Since leather is very easy to come by, whereas ore is not, you have to go around and find nodes. But there are a few crazy ones, such as transmuting meat into a pet, which after 7 days will turn into a pet once you right click the sack. I think that's pretty cool and shouldn't be taken seriously, and it is a bonus pet that only alchemists can get. It's not a huge gold making thing, but I think it's a nice, bonus for alchemists. Alchemists will also be able to craft potions and cauldrons for raid groups. This does come in handy, but in order to unlock the cauldrons, you will have to go through the alchemy questline that will involve going to the heroic dungeons yet again, collecting items from certain bosses in dungeons, as well as using a few potions to get through hidden invisible doors, as well as only being able to spawn certain items while under the effect of a certain potion. It's not very difficult to do, just read the quest log and it will tell you exactly what to do. But if you get lost, be sure to hit me up in the comment section below, or if you just Google it, you can find it on Wowhead. A lot of people have been having issues with it. The most difficult one is where you have to go to the Vault of the Wardens and you need to drink one of those potions, and I will not even try to pronounce the name of the potion, and that will allow you to open a door that will open and it will take you to a secret boss that once you kill, you will get the pattern drop. Well, an item in order to hand in to the alchemists in Dalaran to give you a pattern drop. Now, this door is visible for everybody, but you cannot see the sigils on the door unless you're under the effects of the potion. So you should craft one of these potions, keep it in your inventory, and once you get to this door, it will be marked on your minimap. Drink the potion, right click the door, it will open, kill the boss, and go back to Dalaran. That was the most difficult quest that I had to do, and it involved a little bit of searching because I drank the potion and I didn't notice that I had to right-click the particular sigils on the door. I thought I could actually walk through the door, which wasn't the case, so that's the most difficult one, but you shouldn't have a problem with it. Now, Alchemy isn't just about recent content such as Legion Transmutes and Legion Flasks. Old World Transmutes are where the gold's at for me personally, and I do benefit from the Transmutation Master. I've now switched both of my Alchemists to have Transmutation Master because I no longer make flasks for the old world alchemy items. So I highly recommend getting this specialization since it has no effect in Legion, but it still works on all transmutes. You will need a Philosopher's Stone. No, this is not the one from Harry Potter that was also known as the Sorcerer's Stones in certain countries. For simplicity's sake, go or craft an Infernal Alchemist Stone since it's level 815 item level, and you should be able to craft it. If you do not have the crafting items, buy it from the AH. If not, just buy the stone from the AH. It's not very expensive. It can be upgraded with Obliterum for lols, but I don't know why you would do that because its effects only increase the effects of potions and flasks, which don't really matter anyway, but you know, you can. Now we've got a few old world transmutations which are really awesome for making gold. I've used all of these in the past, but I will tell you which ones I use for what, and that will count as my sort of tip for these. I've made gold with all of them. I perform different transmutes at different times depending on what the server economy is. Sometimes certain items are more valuable than others on my AH, and when that does happen, I will transmute certain items so I can sell them on the AH, and at other times when nothing is selling, I may just use the Living Elements transmutation just so I can stockpile on the different volatiles when they do go up in price, and then I can sell them. Transmute Living Elements Volatile is one of my favorite transmutes. It's quick, easy, and almost always profitable. With this transmute, you turn a volatile life into either earth, fire, water, or air. You can control this seemingly random effect by being in a specific zone to guarantee that the transmute will turn into a particular volatile. This also benefits from the Transmute Master, so you can get bonus volatiles from this, but those bonus volatiles are random and will not be affected by which zone you are in. It also shares a 24-hour cooldown with all other transmutes. It's good for those that have plenty of volatile life from farming herbs in Kata, but you know, it's also good whenever Volatile Life is very cheap. I stockpiled on Volatile Life when it was under a gold each, and I bought it in the thousands, and I have been transmuting them into Volatile Water, Volatile Air, and Volatile Fire. I don't usually transmute into Volatile Earth just because Volatile Earth can also be obtained from mining, and a lot of people have been mining, so it's fairly cheap, but the Volatile Fire, Water, and Air is usually a lot more expensive. Right now, Volatile Water is selling on my server for over 130 gold. It has been selling for the past 2 weeks for over 200 gold, so it has been pretty crazy. I've sold my entire stockpile, and a few months before this, Volatile Air was selling for a few hundred gold, and Volatile Fire a few months before that was selling for about 100, 150. So whenever the Volatile Life is cheap, I buy it up. Whenever these volatile elements are also cheap, I sometimes buy them up and I sell them when they become expensive on my bank toon. If you go to Mount Hyjal, you're going to turn all your Volatile Life into Volatile Fire. If you go to Vashir, you're going to turn all your Volatile Life into Volatile Water. If you go to Yuldim, you're going to turn all your Volatile Life into Volatile Air. If you go to Deepholm, you're going to turn all your Volatile Life to Volatile Earth. Transmute Truegold is another transmute that does make gold depending on your server because it utilizes the products of the previous transmutes. Truegold turns Pyrium bars and 10 of each volatile minus earth and life into Truegold, and this is used for several profession quests, so it's still in high demand even though it's a few years old, and it does unfortunately share a 24-hour cooldown, but luckily for you guys that does maintain its values on the server economies because it can only be created once every 24 hours and it does use up your transmute cooldown. Transmute Trillium Bars is one of the transmutes that I use all the time. One, because it turns my Ghost Iron bars into Trillium bars, and two, because it does not share the cooldown with all the other volatile transmutes, so I can create as many as I want, and it does have a chance to proc additional Trillium bars, which I do need to use for Transmute Living Steel. You can make some serious gold flipping Ghost Iron bars into Trillium bars, but I don't recommend it because usually everyone's already on top of it and the margin is not very big. I would rather, if the Ghost Iron ore and Ghost Iron bars are cheap, turn them into Trillium and then turn them into Living Steel. Usually the margin is a lot higher because there is a 24-hour cooldown associated with it. Speaking of which, Transmute Living Steel is one of my favorite transmutes. It turns Trillium Bars into Living Steel. Living Steel is a jewel crafter's and engineer's best friend used in catamounts such as the Sky Golem and the Panthers. Unlike the Trillium Bar transmute, it does have the 24-hour shared cooldown, but you can bypass this by using 3 Spirits of Harmony to cast Riddle of Steel. However, it isn't exactly cheap because you can use these spirits in order to buy other materials. So I just recommend making a 2nd or 3rd or 4th alchemist if you're really crazy about Living Steel, instead of using these spirits every single time you want to do a transmute. We've also got the Alchemical Transmute that turns Blackrock ore as well as Frostweed into Alchemical Catalyst, which can be used to turn sorcerous elements from one into another. My personal favorite is either turning the fire, the air, or the water into earth. This is what I use for my tailoring bags, my hexweave bags, and a lot of people have had a lot of trouble getting sorcerer's earth because it's very expensive on the AH and it does cut into their profit margin whenever they're creating hexweave bags. This is how I get some of my sorcerer's earth, by transmuting one into another. It's not exactly expensive because I get the Blackrock ore for free from the mine right underneath the garrison, and the Frostweed can be obtained from the Herbalist Garden in the garrison. And if you're lazy, you can always go to the trade center and convert your garrison resources into these items. So one way or another, it's free. All it takes is about 5 minutes a day in order to gather it. It's not really expensive and it saves you a lot of gold in the long run. And it's also one of my favorite transmutes, and it does not trigger the 24-hour cooldown, so you can make as many as you want, which is really good. Another transmute that I do all the time is Crescent Oil. It takes Crescent Saberfish flesh and turns it into Crescent Oil. I obtain these fish using a Tuskar fishing net and I attach them to my ships in the naval yard, and they just bring me fish every single day for free, and then I just transmute this fish into something else, which of course you can buy in the Tanan jungle when you're honored with your respective faction, or you can just buy it from the trade center if you're lazy. I'd highly recommend you get the Tuskar fishing net because every single time you send your ships to a mission, they will bring you back fish. Lots and lots of fish, which come in handy. With these fish and Crescent Oil, I make a lot of Drainic potions and elixirs. I make the invisibility potion, the live action potion, the swiftness potion, the water breathing potion, the water walking potion, and the pure rage potion. These sell a lot on the AH, particularly on my server, and I've been making a lot of gold from them. I sometimes make more gold from these potions than I do from the transmutes or even the flasks for Legion raids. They are sold on such a high quantity on my server that your margin may not be huge, but you're selling so many of these that it makes up for it. Therefore, this is one of those transmutes that I highly recommend that not many people are doing, and all the materials are gotten for free from your garrison. Your garrison is still quite literally a gold mine if you know how to utilize it. Deep Sea Oil is also one of the transmutes that I do all the time because it creates the Deep Sea Oil, which turns your character into a piece of stone, a bronze statue, and people have been buying these in previous expansions when they have a very expensive mount. Their wings flap out, they right-click this potion, and they're frozen in space. It looks really cool, and for whatever reason, it sells for an exorbitant amount on the AH. I usually sell them for above 200-300 gold, and they're created from albino cavefish. I don't fish these personally, I buy them from the AH whenever they're cheap, because I proc 1 to 2 potions with one albino cavefish, which is really cool. So if the albino cavefish is 50 gold each, I sometimes make, I don't know, 200, 400 gold worth from the Deep Sea Oil. So I'm essentially flipping. They have sort of slowed down recently in sales because we don't have flying mounts in Dalaran, so no one's flapping their wings. But I feel that as soon as they do put flying in Legion and people are flying around again, the sale of Deepstone Oil is going to go through the roof once again, and there's going to be a lot more money coming into it. There are a few dozen other transmutes that you can perform. I personally don't do them because there's no gold to be made in them on my server. You can take a look at them and see if you can make some gold on your server. There might be a market that I'm not aware of and go nuts, but personally I don't do them. I prefer these transmutes that I listed above, and they're awesome. I use them to make gold all the time. I do them on a daily basis because they're nice and easy. Utility potions are also another way to make some gold in WoW Legion through alchemy, such as the Skaggle drink. This makes you invisible for about 16 seconds, which might be useful for challenge mode dungeons, because you can bypass many of the mobs and you don't have to worry about them. On my particular server, there isn't a huge margin because the material cost is very high and the potion maybe sells for a gold more, so it's not actually even worth listing because the 5% gold you lose from the AH is more than... So it's just not worth it on my server. It might be on your server, so be sure to check it out, but on mine it's not. The Infernal Alchemist Stone is an interesting item. It's been used for the Obliterum flip. People have been buying a lot of Fellwort, the Infernal Brimstone, Blood of Sargeras, turning them into Infernal Alchemist Stones and then destroying them in the Obliterum Forge because you get quite a few of those things. I personally don't do this because the price of Fellwort and Infernal Brimstone keeps going up and down and I have no idea where it's going. And also the Obliterum market on my server has completely been destroyed because some people are selling this stuff for cheaper than it costs to create. I think a lot of people jumped on the Obliterum Forge train and we've got so much on it on my server that it's cheaper just to buy it from the AH than it is to actually craft it yourself. So I wouldn't recommend it on Frostmourne unless someone is aware of something that I am not. It is cheaper just to buy it. I've seen it as cheap as 1.6k each. So not a lot of gold to be made from it on my server, but you might be able to make some gold from it in your server. In case you're wondering what to do with the Aceraline seeds, you can flip them for Obliterum quite easily. What you do is you take the seeds, you turn them into potions, and then you dismember the potions in the Obliterum Forge. Sometimes there is a margin for profit, but sometimes you can just use it to get rid of your seeds. Or you can sell them on the AH and someone's going to do the same thing anyway. The best way to do this is to get rank 2 or 3 of your Ancient Healing Potion and just create a crap ton of them, and then just take one of your tunes to the Obliterum Forge and just obliterate them. Where you're really going to make any gold on this is if you proc additional Ancient Healing Potions if you have rank 3. That means you're creating an additional potion for absolutely nothing. This is where most of your profit margin is going to come from, but this isn't one of those gold making things that I will highly recommend because everyone's doing it. So the more people that are doing something, the less margin there is, and the easier it is, the more people that are going to do it. So sometimes you should just stick to your transmutes because less people are doing it, or the 24-hour cooldown stops them from doing it too often, so that margin still exists. But in some cases, you might be able to find a market where there is a good margin, in which case I say craft for dear life and just make as much gold as you can while the going's good. In summary, I will say that alchemy is not just about most recent content and most recent flasks and potions. You still can make a bucket ton of gold from all transmutes, so you should keep an eye on your AH and see where you can make money. I say use your transmute cooldown every 24 hours. If you can't sell your transmute cooldown, you can always use it for something such as Volatile Life. I do this all the time. It's usually cheaper and you will make some gold if you convert it to volatile air, water, or fire. I do this every 24 hours. I'm always using my transmute cooldown because I know I will make some money from it. Also, be sure to make alchemical catalysts if you do want to be converting sorcerer's fire, air, water into sorcerer's earth. And this is where I get some of my sorcerer's earth for my hex sweep bags because I get the free fire, water, and air from the naval missions all the time. I just convert it. I also get some of them from my enchanting hub. They always give me, I think, fire and air. So I just end up converting them to earth and using them for hex sweep bags. Anyway, if you're wondering how to do that, be sure to check out my why you should get tailoring guide. Make Crescent Oil and make sure to get a Tuskar fishing net. That is another big tip that I'm giving. I have it on my hunter. I don't have it on all my tunes, but my hunter is enough to supply my entire alchemy operation for all these old world utility potions. I am not even joking. My hunter by herself with her naval yard missions is able to get enough fish to supply my entire alchemy market where I'm selling these potions. And they sell like crazy. That is a lot of gold you're missing out on if you're not doing this. Dranic potions and elixirs do still sell, especially on my server. So be sure to use your Crescent Oil and be sure to exploit the fish from your naval yard mission. I'm serious, the only reason I started selling these was because I had so many fish stockpiled and no one was buying them on the AH. No one wanted to buy the fish that I had, so I just converted them into potions and elixirs and those sold for a profit. So I highly recommend you check out your server AH and see if you can do the same. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you learned something. I hope you're going to make some gold from the tips that I was giving out. If you haven't already, be sure to comment in the comment section below. Leave me some feedback on how I can improve my videos, or feel free to ask some questions, and be sure to hit that like button. It always feels nice to feel appreciated. And be sure to check out my other WoW guides in my World of Warcraft guide playlist. I will be releasing one video a week for that playlist, so stay tuned for that. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Anyway, till next time, Ninja Kuma out. Bye!